Hello, tonight we have part two, dating with chronic illness, and as promised, I have my significant other, the peanut butter to my jelly, and the yin to my yang with me. I'm gonna ask him questions, and these are unrehearsed, and no answers will be held against him, and he's well aware of this. Um, when I told you I was sick, what were your first thoughts?
I didn't really understand what your illness was, so I didn't really. I kind of thought, well, okay, so she's got something. It just kind of blew it off.
You knew I was sick before we started dating, so when you were thinking about dating me, how much of a part did my illness play in making a decision about dating me?
It didn't play any part because you didn't seem to be ill. I think probably you were masking most of your symptoms as you still continue to do, even though you claim not to. And I don't think I thought of you as an ill person at all.
For people who haven't told their significant others about their illness, what do you think is the best way to break that news, and when should they actually come out of the disease closet?
Um, I think they should give them a book or some literature to read on it, because I read the books about your illness and it really helped understand why things were happening to you and what was happening to you. Um, and if a person isn't willing to put that much effort into just finding out about your illness, they're probably not going to put that much effort into your relationship anyway.
Um, at what point did you realize that this wasn't a regular dating scenario, and when did that occur?
Um, I probably realized it wasn't a regular dating scenario very early, but that had nothing to do with your illness. As far as your illness is concerned, I don't think it really hit me or impacted me until we had been dating for about 8 or 9 months, and you in May of 2 years ago, when you had your real episode that kind of led you down a completely different path in your life.
How do you think that seeing me during especially difficult days impacts you? And how does it affect your image of me as a woman and a sexual partner?
I don't think it changes my views on you as a woman or a sexual partner. I get frustrated sometimes with my inability to be able to do anything to help you, um, and the fact that sometimes I think I do things that cause your flare-ups, and the fact of maybe wanting to do things and they push you too far. And unlike the advice you gave in part one, you don't follow and not say I shouldn't be doing this. I don't feel like it. You do it anyway, and you know that.
How is our relationship different from you being with an able bodied person? More than noting just a personal difference, how does this change reality for you?
Somewhat like I was saying, about like wanting to do certain things, and I have to think about what you can do and what you can't do. So there may be a lot of things I want to do, but I don't even tell you about, because I know you shouldn't be doing them. And if I did tell you, then you'd do it anyway, and then you'd be in the hospital, uh, as previously we have done. But I think that's probably the most of it.
Do you think chronic illness is always a negative thing? If not, what is a specific example of something positive you've noticed?
I don't think it's always a negative. I think it's a terribly hard thing to live through for the person who has it, and it can be hard for the people around them, emotionally, just having to see their suffering. But it is a good thing. I don't think. I know you have enlightened me in the way I think about people in general, through the things you've suffered through. And I think I'm a more compassionate person than I ever was before. I try to look at people in a different way as far as what they may be hiding and really holding back from the world, the mask they put on. Because I know you do that a lot, even still, with people who don't really know exactly how everything affects you. And so you never really know the demons somebody has behind them, that may I guess lead them down a certain way they act. It may be something more than you can understand.
Have you noticed any qualities brought on by my illness that you find challenging to tolerate or even understand?
Well, if it was a quality, it wouldn't be challenging to tolerate. I don't think I tolerate your illness. And I don't think your illness has made you who you are. I think who you are shines out from your illness, and maybe it holds you back in certain places. The qualities I think it gives you, you look more towards exactly what people need, as far as I guess you try to always look at the bright side. You always try to look at the good in people and find something good in everyone. I don't necessarily see that as a quality, as you know. I have different views on that, but I guess that's what really makes you who you are.
In what ways do you live differently now dating someone with an illness?
I don't know that I live any differently. I take into consideration a lot of what I do and how I do things to try to accommodate what you're going to need by it. But I don't think I'm any different a person than I would be if you did not have your illness.
My life is filled with symptoms, illness, doctor's visits. Do you ever feel that you suffer from dysautonomia as well, and that you have to suffer through this?
No, I don't feel I suffer at all. If I didn't want to be seeing your symptoms and taking you to doctor visits and all that, I wouldn't be here, would I? I don't suffer. I don't lay in bed in excruciating pain and bend over the side of the bed and puke every 5 minutes all night long and all the next day, every 6 weeks or so, or sometimes even closer than that, and still have all the other symptoms. I mean, I don't suffer. And it's like people ask me about it. And I tell them, what exactly does Erica have? And I tell people this. I said, well, you know what it's like. You ever had the flu? You know what that feels like? And they're like, oh yeah. And I said, well, that's her best day. So I don't think how I feel as much suffering.
How do you cope when my health declines, and how will you cope when it declines further? 'Cause. 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 'Cause.
I don't know that I cope. Like I said, I get frustrated with my inability to help, and then you go to these doctor's appointments with people you're seeking help from, and you just want help. And to tell the truth, 99% of all the doctors we've visited are pretty much idiots on this subject, and there's no other way to put it. And being a doctor, I don't think they ever like to admit that they don't know something. And we've only met a couple that actually did know anything about this. And if you watch this, you Mr. ER doctor who cured himself of this by sticking his head between your legs, that was amazing. But just that kind of sets me off sometimes. You know that.
Well,
Stupid people.
how will you cope when my
I don't know. I don't. You mean like you think this is where, like, people say this is going to continue till you're bedridden, and we'll deal with that when it comes. I think probably somewhat like I can't remember her name, but the Facebook site we always comment with and share her life that she posts. And like the biggest part of her day is just getting somebody to go outside and take a picture of the sky so she can see it, or getting her in the wheelchair and taking her outside to look. I mean, that's what we'll do.
There are extensive studies and research showing that spouses of chronically ill patients are more likely to become depressed, and the relationships are more likely to break up. What is the most challenging part of being in a relationship with a chronically ill person, and how do you handle that?
The most challenging part. It's not a challenge. It's just what we've got. I mean, if someone would break up with someone because they were chronically ill and it put stress on their life or whatever, they wouldn't have stayed with them in any circumstance. Okay, what if you were healthy and one of you lost your job? That's going to put stress on a relationship. I mean, they weren't the person they should have been to begin with.
And this is the final question. What is the best advice that you would offer to a spouse or a significant other that is in a relationship with a chronically or terminally ill patient?
Always try to see things from their point of view. When you think something pisses you off, or you get angry, or about something, and you really, unlike you do with people who don't have an illness, you can't just take for granted, oh well, this is why they're doing so and so. They're not necessarily doing certain things because they want to. It's because not doing things because they don't want to. It's because they can't, and sometimes you forget that, and you can let it get to you. But I think you just got to step back and remember that they've got it rougher than you do, and there's nothing they can do about it. And any emotion you feel, or stress or frustration you feel with their illness, they have that 1,000 more times, because they have it. I mean, they have to live with it. You can go to work or go do something or whatever and get a break for a minute, and they can't. That's there every day.
Thank you for sharing and being open and honest.
I love you.
I love you.